I'll do it.
Yeah.
Which, camera one?
Yeah.
This is the squirrel. This is the pulse squirrel.
Rascal.
This is the issue. This is the squirrel. Okay. All right, welcome to the debut of the CWU Student Media Podcast. I'm your host, Jared Bazette. This is the place where the various student media outlets will come together to discuss current and upcoming content. I'm here right now with Nick Tucker. Nick Tucker is a student journalist who has been reporting on the current vape ban that actually just a couple days ago is over with. It's been about 2 months, and Governor Jay Inslee was talking about making it more of a permanent thing. But Nick has the full scoop. He's the expert here, so let's hear what he has to say. Nick, thank you for being here.
All right, thanks for having me. So basically what happened in fall 2019, Governor Jay Inslee implemented an emergency vape ban. And this was in reaction to a couple cases of severe lung injury, which across the state and across the United States actually led to a couple of deaths. So this vape ban was implemented, and this shut down thousands of vape shops around the state. And it was largely seen as a very controversial move because a lot of those cases of lung injury were later found to have been caused by vitamin E acetate, which is found in counterfeit THC pods. So these are products that were being bought from informal sources, roughly around 67%.
And those are marijuana, like cannabis products, not nicotine products, correct?
Right, these are THC pods.
Right.
There was also a large concern, though, about whether these products were being marketed towards kids, especially because many of the flavors are the flavors of popular candies. There's also the fact that a lot of these products aren't entirely safe. They're not entirely being reviewed by the FDA. A lot of smaller places have been found to are far more heavily regulated and often are following FDA standards. But overall, these things aren't totally safe. It's been found that the nicotine levels in each individual hit of, for instance, a mod, rather than like a small vape pen, can contain far more nicotine than that of hitting like a cigarette.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that like one Juul pod can contain as much as an entire pack of cigarettes worth of nicotine. I don't know if that's correct, but I've been told this.
Right. What's also difficulty is the accessibility of these things. For instance, you can hit them indoors usually. They don't smell like a cigarette would, and they're far more discreet, which is why they're very popular with kids who can very easily hide them from parents or teachers.
Yeah, that sounds like the perfect product for a kid who's trying to get away with it, especially in like school.
Right. So for instance, Juul is incredibly popular with the youth. And Juul is owned by the Altria Group, which is a fun rebrand of Philip Morris International, which brought the public cigarettes like Marlboro and Parliament and Chesterfield.
Oh, that's really interesting.
So this company isn't being shut down by the fact that cigarettes are growing more and more out of favor with the American public. They're evolving with the times. So it's not that vaping is overall horrible, because as people, we generally accept a small level of risk in order to get some short-term enjoyment all the time. Mm-hmm. We drink alcohol, which generally isn't the best. We smoke marijuana, which does have side effects. But we allow these things because we believe that adults are able to make these choices. However, a lot of work has gone into make these products seem totally safe, a perfect alternative to cigarettes, and to seem very fun and engaging for kids.
So on one hand, you've got the market for cigarettes is decreasing, so they're like, hey, this is a good thing. We're lowering a market that has been very popular in the country for a long time. But on the other hand, you're like, well, this is also a potentially dangerous market that is increasing due to this decrease. So I can see how this is a little bit controversial.
Right, and that's a big point of contention because it's not just people switching from cigarettes to vaping. That was originally the intent with a lot of these products, or at least the purported intent. However, a huge percentage of people are just starting with vaping and developing very serious nicotine addictions, as serious or even more serious than those that they would get from cigarettes.
Yeah, no, that seems to be the case. It seems like they were originally marketed as e-cigarettes. I remember, when this first started, they were like electronic cigarettes and a smoking alternative. But it's become a lot more than that, to where it's almost its own thing at this point, and people are adopting that habit before they've ever started a different kind of nicotine habit. I can see how this is a very, very dangerous thing. I can see both sides. And it seems like the argument is whether or not the government should be allowed to mandate that.
Right. So it's also not just one side or the other, pro or anti-vaping. There are more nuanced takes that can be put into place, rather than simply banning an entire industry, not allowing adults who are making conscious decisions about their health to enjoy these products. Because a lot of people are switching from cigarettes to vaping, and a lot of people are simply enjoying it. Not all vaping includes nicotine, and most people who are vaping aren't children. But it does seem like this industry has just kind of appeared, and a lot of the ramifications haven't been thoroughly studied. And so with such a new industry, a lot of people are inserting their beliefs as absolutes.
Yeah.
Vaping is bad, or vaping is a good thing.
But it's not that black and white. It's a very complicated situation.
Right, as is the case in many of these topics.
Absolutely. Well, is there anything else you wanted to cover before you get out of here, Nick?
Well, that Jay Inslee's attempt to permanently ban vaping has so far failed. He said that he was very disappointed. But since the beginning of the year, all the age limit was raised to 21 for all tobacco products, and that includes vaping. So that might be a step in the right direction, but we'll see.
All right, well, thank you, Nick. I really appreciate your time here.
Thanks for having me.
You can check out, Nick has written many ongoing stories for The Observer on this. You should go pick up the current issue, and then make sure you watch out the Thursdays, right? They come out on Thursdays.
That's
Every Thursday, a new Observer comes out, and Nick's been covering this for a while now. It's very important, especially if you partake, or even if you just go to a campus that's non-tobacco free. You probably see this all the time. So make sure you are keeping up to date on this. You can also follow The Observer on Twitter. You guys have an Instagram?
We do.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and then check out The Observer's website too. They have a lot of their content on there. Well, thank you, Nick. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you.
My next guest is Krista Kok. She's here to talk about the current issue of Pulse. Krista, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. What do you got for us?
So to start this issue out, we have a photo spread from our recent trip to Washington, D.C. that we took with The Observer and Central News Watch.
That was a good time. I had a great time.
So we attended the National College Media Conference, and we all won some awards, and you can read about it in that first spread. There was also a squirrel featured in this issue.
A squirrel?
Yes. His name is Rascal, and he was following our photographers Zahn and I around a park in D.C.
Hey, man.
And he's cute.
If I was a squirrel, I'd follow Zahn around too. I do that, and I'm not a squirrel.
So one of our spotlight stories is about epilepsy. So the opening page is a big warning page, very similar.
You can show.
Similar to what you would see on a TV screen before kind of a very flashy movie that might trigger epilepsy.
Right.
So this story was written by our writer Angela, whose son has epilepsy. So we were able to get multiple perspectives of people with epilepsy and how it affects them, but also the people in their life and how getting a call of someone having a seizure is kind of terrifying.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, so we have really good content in that issue, or on that story. We also did a story on antidepressants and kind of the antidepressant epidemic and kind of ways that you can find out if you are depressed, if you need antidepressants. There are some like quick facts at the end, just kind of break the stigma there.
And who wrote that story?
This was our editor-in-chief, Maddie, and then our associate editor, Emily.
Well, yeah, this sounds like some really important stuff. And Maddie's great. I'm sure she did a great job on that.
Yeah, so that story was really well reported. And then one of our last ones is a Pulse 8. So those are 8 questions that we find a cool person and we ask them.
Oh, wow.
So we have Michael Urie, and he's a comic book writer.
Oh, wow.
So he's worked for like DC Comic, Dark Horse Comics.
Oh, wow, that's really
impressive. Yeah, some really big comic books. So we have some cool questions, and we have a really good interview from him that you can check out.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It sounds like Pulse has got some really important stories in here people want to check out. I should have mentioned this actually for Observer too, but where can you, if you didn't know, where can you find current issues of Pulse like around campus?
So we are online, but then, so you can check out our website, and then we are also on the newsstands around campus and around Ellensburg, right next to the Observer.
Okay, yeah, so both the Observer and Pulse you can find all over on these newsstands. They're they're everywhere. You can't miss them. And then do check out the website. I hear you guys have some pretty crazy stuff on there.
Yeah, we have a lot of really good content this year on our website. We are keeping it updated weekly. We also have videos on our YouTube channel. We're really bringing that back this year. So we have a lot of like behind the scenes of photo shoots from our issues going out on our YouTube channel. So definitely be sure to check that out.
Perfect. Thanks, Krista. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Our first issue of Winter Quarter is going to be live on February 12th.
February 12th.
Yep, out on the newsstands and online.
On the newsstands and online. So the entire issue is also available online.
Yes.
Okay,
on our website.
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Well, you heard it here, folks. Make sure you get that new issue of Pulse. Krista, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And make sure you pick up the current issue also, the mental health story, the Pulse 8. These stories sound fantastic. Pulse always does a great job. They're award-winning, an award-winning magazine. I've seen it with my own eyes, with them winning awards. So thank you, Krista. I appreciate it. All right, my next guest is Mary Park. She's here representing Central News Watch, and Mary's been working on a story that's really cool. It's about the styrofoam tray usage in Ellensburg School Districts. There's a big push from parents and locals that are kind of concerned about the implications that these styrofoam trays are having, and they want to find another alternative. So Mary, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me about your stories. You're now working on your second one?
Well,
Last week you covered this?
yeah, last week I covered this, and this week I'm just doing a follow-up
Oh, okay.
after the school board meeting has happened.
All right.
So this story is about the use of styrofoam trays in the Ellensburg School District. Apparently, they use about 272,000 styrofoam trays every year.
Oh, geez.
It's to serve students lunch or breakfast meal programs, and yes, students, parents, community members, they're all concerned about the environmental impacts as well as health impacts, because I'm just reading off of this. It's from the chair of the committee that's leading the school district to use reusable trays.
Okay.
And she did a brilliant presentation at the school board meeting this Thursday. And she attributed this to the World Health Organization
Oh, okay.
that reclassified styrene from being a possible carcinogen to a probable carcinogen. So you can tell from this that it's very much a threat to children who eat off these trays, styrofoam
That's
trays.
insane. That's the WHO, the World Health Organization, is saying that styrofoam may be a carcinogen or may have traces of a carcinogen in it and can be dangerous to eat off of. So that's I didn't know that. That's absolutely insane. And then obviously there are environmental implications from that much waste, but that's a whole new ballgame. We didn't know that was even something that could happen.
Yeah, and at the school board meeting, there were many people who attended, parents, also community members. They all wanted to show support to the committee leading it, and to I think it's kind of a community problem. It's not really just in the school district, but in maybe Ellensburg or Kittitas County, we kind of want to move away from styrofoam in general.
Yeah,
because it's
absolutely.
a potential threat to our environment and our health.
Absolutely. Well, that's awesome, Mary. I'm really glad that you're doing this story because it's been something that I've been kind of keeping my eye on since last year, and I'm really glad that you're covering this. Is there anything else you want to add?
Well, just one last thing would be that it's still an ongoing thing. They're discussing potential solutions for this, especially the use of reusable, washable trays.
Yeah.
And they're just looking for funds to work with because the school district is going through some shortage of funds.
Yeah.
They're facing a budget cut.
Yeah.
And so if you have any suggestions or comments or want to work with the committee, Dr. Kaspari suggested that you email endpolystyreneuse@gmail.com.
Endpolystyreneuse@gmail.com. That's the email?
Yep.
All right. Well, yeah, if you want to be involved, definitely send something to that email. Get in touch with these people. They're doing a good thing. Thank you, Mary, for being here. I'm really glad you're covering this story. I appreciate it.
Great, thank you.
Okay, my final guest is Casillas Berhanu. He is the director of Central News Watch. He's been a reporter there for a long time, and he's here to talk about the current state of the coronavirus. We had a bit of a scare in Kittitas County, but Casillas is here to clear it up for us. So Casillas, thank you for being here, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So tell me what's going on with this update we just got.
So a couple weeks ago, a CWU student volunteered himself to go and get checked for coronavirus because this student had been traveling to China. And after the result came in today by an email by the president of Central Washington University, James Godino, and the result came out negative, and this student has been cleared.
Okay.
And therefore there's like no cases of coronavirus around Kittitas County nor the CWU among CWU members at all. There's only one case in Washington State, and that is in Snohomish County in Everett, and that's the only case of coronavirus. So everybody's safe right now.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad we've cleared that up because it's been a little bit scary around here. People, a lot of people are sick right now.
Absolutely.
I was one of them, and we were kind of scared. Do I have this thing? We just heard that everybody's at risk now, but it was really good to hear that the person didn't end up having it.
Yeah.
And then, if I'm correct, nobody's died in Washington State from this. Or I don't know if anyone's died at all from in the United States.
Not currently, not in the United States, but in China mostly. And a lot of people, like the doctors, a lot of people, we're kind of scared, but the flu, a lot of people have died more from the flu than
Over 8,000 I have heard.
Yeah, and then the coronavirus.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that it was a whistleblower in China that discovered this virus, and mostly the Chinese government was trying to hide it, basically.
Yeah, it was a censorship thing, and I saw that. There's a lot of people now that are standing up and saying like, this guy tried to warn us. You didn't give him the chance. It's a big deal.
Yeah, and he died today. So.
Yeah, that's insane. I can't believe it. Yeah. The good news is it's not here, and that's the thing to remember. Casillas, thank you for bringing this update to us. Just wanted to make sure everybody knows. Everyone is safe in Kittitas County right now. Make sure you're still washing your hands, taking care of yourself. The flu, it is flu season. And if you don't have your flu shot, go get that. It's good for you. Make sure you follow Central News Watch on Facebook and Twitter for constant Kittitas County news updates. We also have a live broadcast on Tuesdays on ECTV2. You can watch it on there, or you can watch it on their website. And then we also post all of our stories after that. We also have a YouTube channel. And then, make sure you follow us on Facebook. We'll keep you updated on any other coronavirus or non-coronavirus news. So thank you for tuning in to the first CWU Student Media podcast. As always in the future, I'm your host, Jared Bazette. Thanks for being here.
Hello? Why can't I hear it? Is it just echoing in here? Yeah, I think it's just echoing.
Mary will go after Krista.